then the answer is all of us should do something now. Why wait? Don't wait for things to get worse, because my feeling is things will get worse before they get better. So pay attention, speak up, don't be shy. And if you are a filmmaker, if you're a writer, if you're a musician, whatever you do, if you're a teacher, talk to your parents, talk to the kids, talk to somebody about what they feel and what they are understanding what's happening. And I would say try to get educated to understand what potential solutions.
Asif Kapadia, thank you and welcome in Hot House. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to be in hot corn. I feel hot. We're in Rome. It's really hot.
Yes,
I feel like corn.
I know. So my first question is so simple. How did the idea for this film come about?
So this film, 2073, I've been thinking about for a long time. And I would say in a way it begins for me with Brexit, which is nearly 10 years ago. And then 5 years ago, I started physically making it during COVID, the lockdown. And I just started to think about everything happening around the world. Lots of things seem to be happening at the same time. It's too much information, too many awful things happening. So I just felt I'm going to interview some brilliant journalists. I'm going to interview the people that I really respect to try to make sense of what's happening in the world. So the film is my interpretation of what is happening in the world, but I've framed it as if it's a sci-fi film in the future.
In the film, we see a world devastated by decisions made in our present. So, in your opinion, how much time do we still have to change ours? Because
I think it's never too late. You have to start, I think, now. I think if you're worried about what is happening in your country, I'm worried about what's happening in my country. A lot of people I talk to feel the same everywhere. Young people, old people, everyone. Then the answer is all of us should do something now. Why wait? Don't wait for things to get worse, because my feeling is things will get worse before they get better. So pay attention, speak up, don't be shy. And if you are a filmmaker, if you're a writer, if you're a musician, whatever you do, if you're a teacher, talk to your parents, talk to the kids, talk to somebody about what they feel and what they are understanding what's happening. And I would say try to get educated to understand what potential solutions there may be. In our film, we have some brilliant journalists. We have Carol Cadwallader from the UK, Maria Ressa from the Philippines, and Rana Ayub in the US. They've been writing about these things for a long time. They've written books, they've written a lot of articles. If you see the film and you want to know more, just look them up online and see what they've been saying and what they've been writing about, just to give you more information.
Okay. And how did you balance the fictional aspect with the facts of reality, with the documentary element? It's difficult.
It's very difficult. I wanted to do something. I wanted to also do a bit of an experiment. My background initially was in fiction films. I made lots of feature films. And then in recent years, I made the documentaries, the trilogy of Senna, Amy, and Diego Maradona. And they were documentaries and biographies. So with this film, because of the subject matter, I knew there was not one central character. And there were going to be lots of themes. It's not about one country. So I decided to mix the genre and to make it, the documentary sequences deal with the issues that we're dealing with right now. It is like the evidence of the last 10 years. And then the fiction is the future. And that I decided to write it as a screenplay and cast brilliant actor Samantha Morton. She's amazing. And to treat it like a movie. And the movie is in the future in 2073. And the documentary sequences explain how we got to 2073. So that was the idea. And I felt like it would be an interesting thing to kind of combine the two. So the audience have a character they can relate to and feel empathy for, which is Samantha Morton, because the information from the documentary sequences is quite intense. It's quite a heavy film. It's like a bit of a punch in the stomach. So you need something to hold on to. So that's why I wanted to mix the genre.
Yes, no. And what are your main cinematic reference for 2073? Were there any film directors?
There's a film director called Chris Marker. You ever heard of Chris Marker?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so he did a very interesting film called Légèreté.
Okay.
He is a French new wave director. Okay, so this is my homework for everyone, right? Chris Marker's Légèreté is a short film. It's like 20 minutes, 25 minutes long. And he's like, you had Francois Truffaut, you have Godard, you have all these filmmakers from the 60s that were making films. And Chris Marker is one of that generation, but very different. He made like essay films. They dealt with certain subjects. His other film, Sans Soleil, is also very famous. He did a film about Akira Kurosawa, which is very good. But Légèreté, for me, is like the most important film that you probably never heard of. The reason being because the technique of the film is very interesting, how the film is made, but it's a story of time travel. And in his film, he shows you footage of France and Paris after World War II, but he just captions it World War III. And immediately it feels like you're in the future. So I would say Légèreté is the reference for Back to the Future, Terminator, every Christopher Nolan film, any film where people from the future go back in time to change the future. So the big reference was Chris Marker. There's a lot of kind of things in the film which I refer to him. But then also I look at Children of Men by Alfonso Cuarón, which is an amazing film set in the UK, the near future. And really, when you watch the film, it's exactly what's happening now. So I think that's when it works. Also literature, there are great books like Brave New World and 1984, which are all about the idea of the government or the people in power telling you something and making you say, don't believe what you see, believe what we tell you, which is really what I feel a lot of people are witnessing and experiencing around the world. So these are some of the references to my film.
Great. And on your opinion, I want to ask you, how do you see the evolution of documentary in particular in recent years, especially in relationship to the use of technology or EA?
It's honestly, for the last, I think, maybe 15 years, like all I ever hear, or documentaries are really in trouble, or it's really difficult, or they don't work, people don't watch them. But then everyone watches them. I think they've become more and more important right now. The challenge we have is the way information is given to us. The challenge we have is people are becoming more and more confused about what they can believe, what is real, what isn't real. And if you mix into this, if you mix into the people that are in power and governments that are feeding misinformation, and tech companies who make money from making people get angry and divided, then you add AI, I think we got a problem, a bigger problem, because nobody knows if anything that you see or that you read is real. And I think there's a challenge. So I'm not a big fan, I have to say. And in the film, we kind of talk about what's important for the audience to know is, well, who owns these companies? What do they believe in? Who are the people that decide the algorithm? Who are the people that decide what is good and what is bad, or what is right and what is wrong? And if you don't agree with them, or you don't agree with the politics, then what happens? So I think it's a challenging time, but it's all the more reason that people, when you make a film, when you do something, do it with good journalism, do it legitimately, which is what we tried to do. We spoke to people, real people, we did our research, and then having done years of research, we then make the film. We don't just make it up as we're going along quickly.
Yes,
That's what I would say is be vigilant, be very careful about what you read and what you see and whether you believe everything you see.
Yes.
I wouldn't.
Because the world divides into two parts in this topic.
And that makes people more money. The more divided we are, the more rich they get. Think about it. So I think that's the real challenge, particularly if you're young and your only experience has been a cell phone. You've always had, I'm old, right? I remember life before the cell phone. I remember life before email, before a computer. So I'm like a dinosaur compared to the kind of my kids right now, So that's a different complicated challenge for everyone. The film's trying to explain some of this. It's trying to connect the dots to just understand the context while still being a movie. That's the hope. It's quite a scary film. Young people seem to like horror films. I'm like, okay, I'll make a horror film, but this horror film is made of real facts. That's the thing.
No. My last question is, what's your relationship with Italian cinema or with Italy in general? Are there any Italian filmmakers or films that you...
So it's simple, It's one of my favorite films was Pasolini film, Gospel According to St. Matthew. No, I love Italian cinema. I love football. I love Italian food. I love Italy. So I spent a lot of time here. And so Italian cinema, obviously there was a golden age in the 60s and the 70s of Fellini and lots of amazing filmmakers. But then also, films like Gomorrah that I've seen, like Garoni's films are incredible. I spent a lot of time, because I made Diego Maradona, I spent a lot of time in Naples. I spent a lot of time in Italy. So it's one of my, favorite places. We come here a lot. So yeah, it's a very kind of strong place for me, for my heart. I feel, it's very close to me, Italy. And I have a lot of Italian friends in London as well. There's a big Italian community. So yeah, I think the cinema of the past was so influential, the Italian neorealist, De Sica and lots of filmmakers. And then recently there's been some really brilliant filmmakers. I hope Italian cinema becomes as powerful as it was in the past. But that's what, it's young people have to do that, that's a challenge. And then because I love football, Italian football is always like a big part of my life as well. So yeah.
Thank you, Sid. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.